Hey everybody, Happy New Year. We're back from our holiday break and we've still got a few more episodes before we go on our inter-season break. Just a quick reminder that we've got Hack City Comedy this Friday, the first Hack City of 2025. It's going to be at Union Hall in Brooklyn, 7:30 p.m. Tickets available at asian.asianpod.com or just Google Hack City Comedy. You know the drill. All right, I got to put my kids to bed. See you there.
You know, people call it career ADD, but I think it's just the new way of doing life. We don't need one big career.
I feel that for sure. Welcome to another episode of the Asian Not Asian podcast, the podcast with all your favorite Asian friends. It is December 2024. If you're hearing this, America used to be a country, and now it is, I don't know what it is, but right now we're recording from Brooklyn. We're doing it on Zoom because we've got a special guest. But I'm Mike Nguyen.
I'm Jenny Arimoto.
Very quickly, too, if you're listening to this and you want to give us some support, there's a couple ways. One, leave a review. We haven't gotten a review in a little while. Just, you can leave one on Spotify now. You can leave one on the Apple Podcast app. You can hit follow and subscribe and all the different things. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment. That's like the best thing. Leaving a comment, like, it tells the algorithm that you're like, oh, I really like this. So people are really checking us out on YouTube, and it's been really nice. And so... do that, hit subscribe and all that stuff. Tell all your friends, take a screenshot, post it on the different socials and tag us at Asian Not Asian Pod. And it's always nice to see people listening to us. I swear to God, like half of the listeners are just my friends who are just like wondering what's going on with my life. Times like, really? Is that what's going on?
Literally, I got a text yesterday that's like, hey, congrats on the new gig. Where are you working?
Yeah.
And it's like someone I saw like last week. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Seriously.
It was Jasper.
Oh, was it really?
Previous guest Jasper. Yeah.
He knows so much about, like, it sometimes freaks me out because people are like, so tell me a little bit more. You were mentioning on the podcast how, you got, ulceritis,
And now Jasper's going to hear this. And he's going to be like, oh my God, shout out, Like then when this rolls out, he'll text us about this shout out, and then he'll be like, and then follow up about whatever we're going to talk about today. It's a beautiful way to, honestly, I should just tell my friends to like, just listen to this.
Just listen.
We text afterwards. Yeah.
Sometimes what happens is I actually don't even tell people updates in real life because I've said them on the podcast.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, like my brain is just like, I already said it, so I don't have to say it again.
Exactly. You got it. Yeah. We don't need to go to dinner and spend the $40 to catch up. Yeah. Just listen to the podcast.
People will like meet my baby and they're like, oh my God, you have children? And I'm like, oh, you didn't listen to the podcast? I'm not.
Yeah.
I have children, baby. But yeah, it's tell your friends and tell my friends because my friends are also the ones listening to this. Also, you can support the podcast by going to patreon.com/AsianNotAsianPod. We got a couple of awesome new Patreon subscribers. And if you subscribe to the Patreon, we give you a little shout out. We're not going to do it this time, but we'll do it next time. So patreon.com/AsianNotAsianPod. Very helpful. It keeps all the lights on literally for this podcast. We're going to get started before we bring on our guests. We're just going to talk about a little bit of what kind of Asian we were this week. Jenny, do you want to go first?
Yeah, mine is quick and easy. I was a Wicked Asian.
Oh, we talking about what? Okay, go.
The movie Wicked. I saw it twice in theaters.
I went twice?
Once. Yeah, I went my first time I saw it. I did my first ever 4DX movie. That's like the movie where like it's like you wear 3D glasses and the chair moves and they like spray air and water at you and like it's like a whole ride. The ticket cost $40. I had to go to Times Square. I took a little edible. There was 8 of us. It was so fun. It was so fun.
It sprays water at you?
Yeah. So I turned off the water feature because I did not want to get sprayed. It's winter. Like I don't need to get wet in Times Square. But it literally is like you're at Disneyland.
At what point is it supposed to spray water in that movie? Is there like a watery
I don't know
part?
because I turned the water feature off. But there are like, there's a moment where it rains. I'm like, and in my head I was like, Everyone's
This is
probably
watery.
getting sprayed
Everyone's
right
all
now.
wet. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was the first time I watched it, and I loved it. And I loved it because it was an insane experience. Like, just that feeling of like they're like belting and you're just like shaking in your chair. Insane. But then afterwards, my sister had some critical thoughts, like feedback on the movie, and I was like, I actually have no idea what she's talking about, because all I was thinking about was how the chair is moving, and like I had no notes on like anything because I wasn't actually watching the movie. You know, I was like high, like in my own world, and so then I went back again to watch it sober, not in a not moving chair, and I enjoyed it. I definitely.
Like you didn't even like, you know,
phone.
just like just only the movie
taking
itself.
notes. Yeah. No, I went to a movie theater and watched it again so I could like have actual thoughts on the movie. And I definitely came out of it with more notes on the actual film itself. But yeah, I watched Wicked twice in like a week.
Did you watch it the second time just by yourself, like it was homework?
Oh no, the second time I watched it with friends who hadn't gone yet, who wanted to go.
I see.
But then afterwards we went and like talked about it. Whereas my 4DX experience, half of us were high. It was like late. Like we just like parted ways. And I was like, that was fun. I really didn't think about it that much. But yeah, Wicked is so fun. It's not, I don't think it's the best movie musical ever, but that's just my take. But it was like a really fun film. And I have given them so much money because I went to go, I went
like
twice and I watched it
$100.
4DX. Yeah. Like I spent so much money on Wicked.
You got to. That's how we're going to stimulate the economy, because we're investing in water-based technologies, and then we're going to. That's how we're going to reap the benefits.
Yeah, so that's me.
I would love if the 4DX, because that makes sense, watching like a crazy movie with 4DX technology.
Yeah,
but imagine watching like
Twisters was so fun.
Right.
But you don't have to watch Wicked. It's a movie musical. It's like people belting. There's absolutely no reason why my chair should be shaking.
But like, what if there was like a movie that, you know, was very somber, you know, and it's like, you're like, okay, let's get ready to watch Schindler's List.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
It's just like, why is the chair shaking? Or you're watching like The Seventh Seal, you know, it's just like a black and white movie, no sound.
Coda.
just the saddest movie you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And you're just, why? I spent $50 on this and I have a bucket of popcorn. So how was?
I don't know. I think 4DX is fun, and I will do it again. Probably not for Wicked, but I would recommend if you have $40 to burn, or if you don't want to go to Disneyland, just spend $40 and go to 4DX.
Maybe I can take my son there, and then I'll be like, "This was Disneyland." He doesn't know.
I honestly think it's the same thing. Like, go watch Moana 2 in 4DX, and I bet you your son will think it's exactly the same as Disneyland.
Yeah, I won't even just
Times
turn
Square.
on.
It's like horrible.
I mean, and for Moana, don't just turn on the water. You can actually turn on double water.
Yeah.
Just so much
get
water.
Soaked. Yeah.
You're just in a hot tub.
100%.
How was friend of the podcast, Bowen? He's in there.
Iconic.
Really?
I mean, he's like 100% the him and Ariana, and then the other person who plays like his friend. It's like they're like the levity, they're the jokes, they're the funny part of the movie. And he crushes. My mom loved him. She also saw it.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
That's adorable.
I don't know. I think it's fun. I get, if you're not a musical person, don't see it. It's a musical. But I think it's like a fun romp. It's like, you know, big Hollywood movie, billions of dollars, good belting. It's good fun. I can get into the critical notes. That's not for this podcast. Hit me up in my DMs. Happy to discuss that one-on-one.
Okay, yeah. All of our film major Asians out there, go ahead and hit up Jenny in the DMs about our critical notes for Wicked. Yeah. Okay, that sounds cool.
How about you, Mike? What kind of Asian were you this week?
This week I was a basic H-Mart Asian.
Okay, what does that mean?
So I am a freelancer, aka don't have a good job right now, and so I can do all these fun things in the daytime with my family. So it's really cold here, and we were like, you know, it's Monday, we got the kids up, we're getting ready, and we're like, we should go do something because it's the holidays. And we were like, okay, maybe we can go somewhere cute in Brooklyn. And we just kept thinking about it, and we're like, what do we really want to do? And what we really wanted to do was eat Korean food. And that was our holiday experience, that we want. And so we decided to go to H-Mart. There's an H-Mart in Long Island City, which I always go to. And I love going there because it's a really big, nice H-Mart. They have a food court there, and I'm like, their food court is like legit. It's not just like bites and stuff like that. It's like full on meals, so like huge meals that you're supposed to share with other people. It's like crazy. Plus, whenever I go there, I don't know what it is, but I get super inspired and I make tons of content. I like make.
You do?
I make like video. I take pictures of people that I enjoy their outfits, the Asian moms and dads out there, and the uncles and aunts. I take pictures of their outfits and put it on Instagram. I made Gina, and she's very used to it now, like record me walking around in the store so I can make little Instagram content afterwards. She's not even embarrassed. That's how you know she's a real one. She didn't even like bat an eye at her 40-something-year-old husband / father of her children going, hey girl, can you take a video of me walking down the aisle, walking down this ramen aisle? She's like, yep, got you. That's erotic, I think.
I know. It's like the new version, 2024, it's no longer Instagram boyfriend. It's actually Real's wife. It's Real's wife.
Real's wife.
Yeah.
That's me. That's me, baby.
Exactly.
So we were there. And we ordered like this awesome kind of like Korean Chinese dish, and ate that. And I ordered, of course, fried chicken because like, why not? And it was amazing. And we, went grocery shopping, and it worked out like perfectly because like Celine, my daughter, was like sleeping the entire time. She was like in her little stroller, and she was really cozy. Neo ate like a bunch of rice balls. He never eats anything, so like he ate some rice balls, and we gorged ourselves. But the food is really good, and so like you don't ever feel like that gross. I don't know about you, but like I don't know, like I ate 6 pieces of Korean fried chicken. Felt great. Felt fantastic.
Okay, I don't relate to that at all. Just because it's Korean, it's still fried chicken.
Yes, but there's something about it, dude. I think the soy garlic cancels it out.
Okay, interesting. Like your body just reacts to the fact that it's Asian, and it's like, actually, this is okay. This is like my genetics are built for this.
Yeah, your appendix is like, oh, wait, what's that? Okay, there's some garlic on here.
I will say
this. Keep going.
When I eat cheese, my body's like, we were not built for cheese. We were built for rice and
cheese is
soy.
Different. Cheese is different. That's a whole other thing. But if you put a little garlic on there, I'm telling you, your body will think about it twice. They'll be like, all right, maybe this is cool. But we got home afterwards, and all we did was we drove there in my car. We, loaded up the car, ate the food, unloaded the car, drove home, and we're just like chilling there. And I was like, I feel so good about all this. And I was like, should we move to the suburbs? Is this what that means?
No. So scary.
Because we did pretty much no New York style thing.
Yeah.
We drove in a car. We didn't take the subway. We walked around in a big grocery store. We ate delicious food at a food court.
I know.
And then drove home. And I was like, this was what my ancestors dreamed of in Vietnam.
Sure.
And they didn't even know what that meant, but they were like, one day my descendants will do this. And I did it. And I was like, me and Gina, we're like, looked at each other. It was like the moment when you realize, like, you love another person. It's almost like, are we basic Asians? That's what we thought. So I'm a little conflicted now.
I was on board until I heard this word suburbs, and then I got scared.
But what does it mean? What does it mean?
Yeah. But yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe start dipping your toe in that, like slowly start doing the suburb stuff and see if you still feel joy.
I know. I mean, I feel if I moved to the suburbs, maybe I would make a lot of content out there. Who knows? Maybe I'd be inspired.
No, what are you talking about?
You don't think so? No?
I don't think so, but that's just me. I feel like my brain gets smooth when I'm in the suburbs. Smooth.
So
I have no thoughts, no ideas.
I am going to try because, I do the thing on my Instagram stories. If people don't follow me on Instagram, check me out. I'm a big menswear influencer now. Okay, I'm a pretty big deal. And what I do is I take pictures of people if I like their outfits. Generally, I try to take pictures of what I call civilians. People who are like not trying. Yeah. But look dope. And, I'm going to try to see what I can do when I'm in the Bay. I'll be going to the Bay Area soon. I'll be in Chico, fashion capital of the world, Chico, California, outside of Sacramento. Who knows? Maybe there'll be some real fire camouflage-esque fits there. Probably a lot of Trump hats, but who knows? And,
scary.
And then I want to see when I go to the Bay Area proper, what I can capture there as well. So follow me on Instagram and see my fashion journey.
Yeah. Okay, that's exciting.
Yeah. I'm
might be
excited
moving
about
to
it.
Chico, folks.
The only Asian podcast in Chico, or
Yeah.
we
Only
dominate
maybe
the
only
market.
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. Okay, well, you know what? We're going to bring on our guest now. Someone who I don't think is basic at all, because this person has an amazing... I really did. I tried to summarize this person using their About page. I should have asked ChatGPT, because it was like really long and like really like crazy. Like this person's done all sorts of stuff. Our guest today has a really, really long About Me page. She's a dating expert, although she wouldn't call herself that necessarily. I got mixed messages. So she's a tech consultant. I'm not exactly sure. We're going to ask her about it. Media personality, dancer, entertainer, podcaster, host of the Dateable podcast, a co-host of the Dateable podcast, and now a writer. Her new book is How to Be Dateable. It's out January 25th. Give it up for Yue Xu.
Wait, you got all that from ChatGPT?
No, I didn't. I had to do that myself. It took so long.
Wow.
I should have asked ChatGPT to help me.
That's amazing. You could have just asked me.
I am going to ask you. I am going to ask you, because you have this thing. So like, I don't even know where to start. You're a dating expert, but you're also a media person and a tech person, and you've like lived all over the place. I don't know where you want to start.
I know. Well, why don't we start at Cal? How we both went to Cal.
Shit.
Let's start there. Let's go there.
Oh shit. Okay, we can start with Cal. Okay, so okay.
Where all good Asians go.
We all
Yeah.
we did for the best value education. Let's just say that.
Exactly.
Except I was out of state, so I was probably the worst value.
Oh, worst
Oh my
value
God.
education for you.
Where are you from?
Colorado.
Oh, wow. Okay. You were paying out of state tuition.
No. And I remember going there because I never visited Cal. I just like, I want to go to Cal.
Same.
Going
Wow.
there and being like, oh, I'm not one of these Asians. There's a huge
really?
difference. There's a huge difference between a Colorado Asian and a California Asian.
Oh,
Sure.
for sure.
Right?
What is a Colorado Asian?
A Colorado Asian is like in full hiking gear,
Yep.
just like
Yeah.
smoked pot before pot was cool.
Ah.
Okay.
That's Colorado. And I got to Cal, and these girls were like at the time, like in their Kate Spade,
Yeah.
drinking boba tea, and I was like, what's that?
What's
Thing
boba
with
tea?
all the balls in it.
Yeah. Wow.
That's
I mean, I was a California Asian, and even when I went to Cal, I was like, "What is this?"
Oh yeah, that SoCal Asian is so different from NorCal Asian.
Such a different flavor. I was like, "What is happening?"
What is happening? I wonder I haven't been in a long time, so I wonder if it's still like that or if it's like moved on to some other kind of Asian. But yeah,
bet
it is a
it's
culture
different.
shock.
Yeah,
I bet
You think so?
there's a flavor that Gen Z brings that we're like, "What is this?" But that's a different another layer.
the sad,
We should
the sad Asian.
record on campus, like in front of the Campanile. Just record
Yeah,
another
we
episode.
should. And we probably get bullied by all the young people.
Probably.
Who are these
like,
old people?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God,
Get outta
podcasts are
here.
so cringe.
Yeah,
It's such
absolutely.
a millennial thing, podcasts.
Yeah,
Ew.
exactly.
Why
Ew.
do they have no show socks? What is wrong with them?
Oh my dude, you don't understand how self-conscious of my socks I am now.
Same.
Oh,
So
for sure.
self-conscious of my
I
socks.
have
Every
no
day.
show socks.
What
I
what
mean-
socks?
It's just like mind-boggling because it's such a mind fuck. I'm like, why do I care what Gen Z thinks of my fashion when I think they all look terrible?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then every time I go outside, I'm like, oh God, make sure that I show my socks.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that
I
what
think
you're
that's the
supposed
millennial
to do?
curse.
Is you're supposed to show your socks. You're supposed
Yes.
to have
Yes.
interesting
You should have-
socks.
Not interesting socks. It's just like your ankles should be covered.
Yes, I think that's the bigger point. It's not show your socks, it's don't show your ankles.
Yeah.
Wow. That's very puritanical if you think
Yeah.
about it.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. And so going back to the Cal thing. So just to start how this conversation started, people pitch us all the time on the podcast. Like, hey, we're going to, we're writing this book or we have this movie coming out. Most of the time I don't put it on there. I generally, I I got me and Jenny, and we fuck around, and that's pretty good. So like very low effort. But this one came in, and I was like, oh, it's about dating. Okay, that's interesting. So click over to the website, and I'm looking at everything, and I'm like, this person looks really familiar, really, really familiar. There's no way though that this person is still like, is doing this. I just, there's just like such a low chance. But I keep like digging around, and I find out, and I realize that you and I went to Cal at the same time. We didn't know each other, but we were both in the dance world of at Cal. Right.
This
and
is so
I danced.
Cal.
Shut up. So I was a dancer on this.
It was a big deal.
On this team called True Element, and it was like, we were just we were having fun. We were trying our best, right? But a lot of us didn't know what we were doing. Not all of us. Some of the people on the team were very good, and they were sort of like, there was like these different groups in the dance world, of which the top tier people, I would say, is in this group called Dance Works. And they've been around a long time, and they had all kinds of things. They had like hip hop dance and modern, and they had like lyrical and all sorts of stuff. And you were in Dance Works, right? Among other ones, I think.
Yes. I started out in the movement. That was like a new one. Oh
yes, the movement. Oh my god.
Remember, that was a new one, and then I switched over to Dance Works. And it's really funny that you talk about the hierarchy, because I came out of Cal like, I was at the top dance group at Cal.
Yeah.
And one of my friends from Dance Works, Vivian, became a Laker girl soon after graduating.
Wow.
And then at her wedding, the Laker girls were there. And I remember I was her maid of honor, and I gave a speech, and I was like, I know that the Laker girls are here, but did you know
my God.
Dance Works is always also here?
Dance Works, dude.
Importantly,
Exactly.
That's exactly. You guys you don't even understand who and the Laker girl should have been like, damn, Dance Works is here. Now I'm nervous.
Dance Works of Cal? Oh, hell. Yeah,
you guys were so good. It was I would always watch. This makes me sound creepy. I would always watch the practices. It was like in public, so it was like in this big quad area, and everybody was very good, and like you could tell like most of the people seem sort of like what I would call like classically trained, like they actually went to classes and did that. Whereas like I think other groups, it's like people who were like mechanical engineers who were like, hey, I would like to practice doing dance, and that's what most of us were like. And Yue, I have to admit, we would have these like joint performances where there would be like Dance Works would do it and the movement, and this was like in the quad, and a lot of people would be watching. And then I would be there, and I always saw you, and you were always in the front, and you were so good. Oh. And I had the biggest crush on you for so long.
No.
There are images burned in my mind of you like doing some stuff, and this sounds really weird. You had amazing facials. Your facials were really good. People who don't know what that is, facials is like your facial expression when you're dancing. There are some people who are not good at dancers and have really good facials. I was like bad dancer, and I had bad facials. It looked like I was trying really hard, and it looked like I was like really thinking about the moves. But for you, you were so good, and I would just be like, oh my God, there she is. And you were dating someone at the time, like a very cool guy. I hope that's okay to bring him up.
DJ.
I dated DJs before very
DJs
cool.
are cool.
He was cool, and I was like, of course she's dating him. That guy is so cool. That guy is so, he was so like, he had like the hat that was too big, and I was like, damn, this guy's cool. And it makes a lot of sense that they're together, But I was like, that's what's up. And anyway, so anyways, I saw you, and I was like, there's no way that this is the same person, but it is you. And I was like, okay, well, now we have a personal connection, even though it's one direction. And I gotta have you on here so we can talk about your project and stuff.
I mean, first of all, thank you so much, because I know you two usually record in person, so thank you for doing this virtually and having me on. I feel so special right now. I'm working on my facials. I'm working on my facials right now.
Now you know why we're doing this. It's because Mike had a crush on you. That's literally how he introduced you. He's like, oh yeah, also we danced at the same time, and I had a crush on her in college.
I was just like in the corner, just like, notice me, senpai. It's just, it was crazy.
Well, if you were a DJ, it could have ended differently.
I did ask my friend. I was asking my friend was a DJ. I was like, yo, can you hook me up? This is the beginning of a great Cal rom-com right here.
Yeah. Let's write it. We'll write one. We'll write like a fantasy version of what could have happened.
It'll be like a Hallmark movie,
Yeah. True Element, Dance Works, can they make it work?
Starring Ronnie Chang.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, it's like the Bring It On. It's like Bring It On, but
yes, there you go. Exactly.
Asian dance groups at Cal.
Yeah.
Do you still dance?
Yeah, so I danced for a while after I became a dance instructor, and I danced for commercials and like TV. And it's crazy that you're bringing this up now because I kind of lost my love for dance in the last couple of years.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, I stopped going to classes. I stopped teaching. I just haven't had an urge to go. And I kind of replaced it with tennis. I know, sounds really strange, but kind of redirected my energy elsewhere. But I miss performing. And I think that's what I really loved about DanceWorks.
Sure.
And performing at Cal, because you're just out in public. There's all these people.
Yeah.
It's all your classmates. And you never know who is watching, obviously. I just really miss the performance aspect. It was me.
I was watching. It was me. That was me. I was the one sending the packages. I think performing is. It's like, I mean, Jenny. We always talk about like the sort of creative pathways, and if I had been honest with myself, I would have done comedy earlier, or started writing earlier, or starting to pursue that. But I feel like maybe dance, weirdly enough, was like a safer thing to do because it was like, for me, something I couldn't possibly do professionally. I thought about it when I graduated. I was not a good dancer, but I took classes, and I was like really thinking about, oh, is this something you could do? But I was like, I still need like 5 more years of training or something like that. But it was like a way for me to get up and perform, and I felt a little safer because there was a big group of people with me, and it was like a way to like explore that side of you without, I don't know, putting yourself out there. I know it sounds weird because you're performing in public, but it felt safer than like, I don't know, like admitting that I wanted to be a creative person.
Yeah, it's like also a safety in doing it in a group, and like in a structured way, which is what improv was for me. Like improv classes was for me.
Yes,
just like a structured way to admit that I want to do creative stuff, if you can believe it.
So you were at Cal, and then you graduated, and then you were like all over. You moved to all sorts of different places and lived in all those places and had, a bunch of different concurrent careers, and how did you kind of end up where you are now?
I think we were just talking about this before we hit record, was that we are at the cusp of these two generations, kind of like the old and the new. And it's an interesting place to be because I think I felt like I had the freedom to pursue something I really wanted to do, but I didn't have the tools to understand what it is I really wanted to do. So I think I probably spent the last 20 years really thinking about that. And I'm now at a point of age 43. I know exactly what I want to do, which is a little bit of everything. I think that's what I came to the conclusion of. I don't need a big career. I don't need this one thing that I'm doing for the rest of my life. I'm not a lifer for anything, not a company, not a career path, but I am super curious and interested in a lot of different things, especially in the creative fields. So I want to just pursue a little bit of everything. People call it career ADD, but I think it's just the new way of doing life. We don't need one big career.
I feel that for sure.
Right?
I feel like, I don't know. Do you feel that I feel sometimes it's like kind of a millennial thing, like we move around a lot. We don't have like the one job. Like, I don't know what your parents did. My mom was a nurse her whole life, even though she, went to a couple places, but generally she was at, one place for like 20 years. My dad was a mailman of all things, which is, he was that for like 20 years. He would have been that longer if he had found that job earlier. And for me, I'm like, I got a bunch of different things. Now I'm a freelancer, and I like being a freelancer, even though it is like scary, but it feels like the it feels like I can try different things, I guess, but I don't know if that's a generational thing you've sort of found, or is that something that like, it takes a certain kind of person?
I think it definitely, it might be a kind of a newer immigrant thing, because the way I look at it is my mom she was at Hewlett-Packard for 18 years and she retired there. My dad was at John Deere for however many years and retired there. And they both think, well, why don't you just take this path? Because it's safe. It's already been done. We know it works. And the way I thought about it was like, why would my parents move all the way to this foreign country, start their lives over, create the stability for me to just follow the same path? I feel like there's something more for me here. Like, I am in a very privileged position where my parents did take that risk and sacrifice so that I am able to explore my interests a little bit more. So I want to be able to exercise that privilege. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think too, the reality of, there's not a lot. I mean, there are jobs that are like that, but there's not as many jobs where you can be a lifer, I feel. Like there's some things you could do. Yeah, you could work for the government or something like that. But I think too, like, we're also sort of, in the reality of like, there's not like, there's less and less jobs with pensions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and
I mean, I think, look at you, Jenny. I think about, you went through a layoff, right? And the thing, what our parents' generations didn't really experience was this, I would call it like this uneasiness being at a company. Like, my parents felt very safe. They felt like their companies were loyal to them. I don't think any of us feel that way anymore. I don't feel loyal or devoted to anybody because they can get rid of you at any point.
Yeah, I was actually going to say exactly that. I was like, the other part is that, like, the capitalism of it all, where, like, companies can get rid of you pretty quickly. And I think because of that, our generation has developed not a sense of loyalty to companies anymore. Like, we have to, like, develop a sense of self outside of that. And I think that also feeds into this, like, let's just do what we want to do, or try different things, or, like, have side hustles as a backup mentality, which I don't think is a bad thing. I mean, obviously, I think it's a bad thing that companies can just get rid of you and that sense of stability is not there. But I do think it's a healthy thing to feel like we can try different things and have different identities and careers and eras in our life. So that's
100%.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things you've had a couple of different careers. You kind of like a multi hyphenate, and one of them is dating expert. I've read in certain things you don't consider yourself an expert necessarily. You were a dating coach for a little bit, but that was just like a little short era. What was that like? What is a dating coach exactly?
When I moved to New York, I went through a midlife crisis at 25. I was working at a big ad agency, and I thought that was my dream. I would go to this office on Madison.
Yeah. Where did you work, by the way? I'm in advertising. Where?
At a company called Rapp Collins.
Rapp Collins, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
part of Omnicom.
Yeah.
So I remember just being like, I'm a big girl. This is my big girl job, and I would carry my heels with me, in the winter, and then change into my big girl shoes at the office.
Yep. This is the part 2 of the rom-com we're writing. Yep. Continue.
From Danceworks to Madison Ave.
Yeah. By the way, I mean, our lives have been going like this, dude. Okay, can I just say I'm in advertising. I was in New York at the time, and hey, just putting it out there. What could have been?
Yeah, what could have been?
And then when you become a DJ, I'm just gonna say it again, Mike. When you become a DJ, it's all gonna click for us.
Yeah.
There we go. It's still not too late, baby. It's still not too late. You guys like Ja Rule? Okay, ready? Okay, let's do. Okay, sorry. Continue. You were carrying your shoes to work. Yeah.
But what you're talking about there, even just our paths kind of, weaving in and out, sliding doors, moments, if you will, there's no linear path anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, there's no, I don't feel the need to compare myself to any of my peers my age, because everyone's taken this sort of like roundabout and off the beaten path to where they are today. So I literally overnight, when I turned 25, I went through this midlife crisis. I was like, this is not my dream. I don't want to be in the middle of New York, sitting in an office, watching the snow fall. Like, I want to be frolicking in the snow. So I gave my 2 weeks notice and I was like, I want to be a TV host. This is something I've always wanted to do since I was a little kid. So at the time, there were no digital cameras and there was like no phones, but I had an actual video camera and I recorded a reel for myself, a hosting reel. And I had my coworkers help me. So I interviewed them. And I sent this, like snail mailed a burned DVD of this reel to all these different agencies in New York City.
A burned DVD? Hell yes.
Yes.
Wow.
You know how hard it is to burn DVDs?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was really committed. And I sent it around and I heard back from a few people. I was very surprised. And at the time, the agency I ended up signing with, Abrams, they told me that this is a really good time for Asians. And this was in 2006, I think.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
They said it's a really good time for Asians right now because the industry is ready. So I was like, yeah, let's bring it on. Industry's ready.
It's time.
I would say it took about 20 years for the industry to really be ready.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're ready.
But we're ready now-ish. We're still on ready 3, 2, 1. But they took me on and they started sending me out on different auditions. And the industry was not ready. They were ready. You know what the industry was ready for? Half Asians. The Hampas.
Yes.
They were
There
very
you
ready
go.
for that.
That's the one.
They were like, we love you, but you're a little too ethnic. Like the girl we ended up going with, she could be white passing, but in certain angles, she could also be a little Asian.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, got it. The safe Asian.
Right.
The safe Asian. So fast forward, I started doing commercials, print work, just doing kind of like outside of TV hosting, but booked a few little gigs here and there. And in 2012, I actually went to Beijing on a whim to visit my family because I'm originally from Beijing. I was born there and all my extended family's there. And I had become so disenchanted with New York City at that time because I've been there for so long and I really was struggling in my kind of like creative career. And so the 2-week vacation turned out to be a 2-year stay.
Wow.
I just stayed. It was such a good time to be in Beijing. Expats were there. There were a lot of job opportunities. This is when the Chinese government was very open to foreigners. And I found a lot of, I became an anchor at a TV station. Then I moved to become a host at this other TV station. It was like, it was just opportunities galore.
Wow.
And towards the end of my stay in Beijing, which by the way, the whole 2 years was amazing because I got to reconnect with my extended family, like my cousins, my
That's cool.
grandpa, grandma. It was so great. I would go to their house every weekend. So nice to do that. And meanwhile, I was kind of working on this big media career. And towards the end of my stay in Beijing, I was hosting a show called The Gadget Show China, where I would go around the country looking at different innovations and gadgets and interview people on how they invented these gadgets. So I got to test out a bunch of different interesting gadgets that were not on the market yet. It was really cool, but I had to do the whole show in Chinese.
Oh, wow.
Oh, geez.
And I left China when I was in 3rd grade. So I have third grade-ish. Like I wouldn't even say it's third grade level Chinese.
Well, it's impressive that they gave you a hosting job even though you didn't speak the language.
Well, the reason why they gave me the job was because the job was kind of like there was a lot of risks. You had to try out a lot of fitness related gadgets like a hoverboard or something that like would shoot you up in the air and then maybe you don't come down. Like there was a lot of risk involved. And no Chinese woman, no Chinese host at the time was willing to take on this job. They were like, oh, hell no. Yeah.
Like, you were like, I'm ready to break a leg.
I mean, my first interview with them, they were like, "Would you be willing to bungee jump?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" They're like, "Wow, you're the first person to say that."
Really?
Yes.
You're like, I lived in New York. I
can
do that.
That's the Colorado, you know?
Yeah.
That's the Colorado, New York girl, you know? Yeah.
Yes, I'm willing to almost die. It's fine. It's not a big deal. But what was really funny, because I didn't read or write, is that they hired me an assistant to translate this entire script into Pinyin, which is the pronunciation.
Yeah.
Spelling out the pronunciation of each word. So it's like the phonetics of each word, which is what I learned in grade school in China.
Sure.
So I basically just read and memorized everything based on phonetics.
Yep. That's
Wow.
amazing. That's awesome.
That's so cool.
That's also very American, I feel, you know? Just sound it out, baby, you know?
Sound it out and pretend. Just pretend.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it worked.
Why did you come back to the United States then? I mean, it sounds like you got some, cool shit going on.
If anybody's been to China as an expat, you know that the golden era is short-lived, because the Chinese government can really take away anything they want at any time. So this was around like 2015. I think there was a lot of crackdown on foreigners in China.
Damn.
Yes. And I was working at a state-owned media station before I moved on to the Gadget Show. So at that time, they were like, well, if you are a foreigner, make sure that you don't show any Chineseness when you work at this company, because people will discriminate against you.
Sheesh.
And it's a strange thing for me to say this right now, because I never became a U.S. citizen up until I moved to China.
Word?
Yes, I kept my Chinese passport thinking, well, I mean, I have my green card in the U.S. I'll just go back and forth. It's easier. But when I went to the state-owned media opportunity in China, they said the only way you can be hired here is if you're a foreigner. So I actually had to come back to the U.S., become a naturalized citizen, and then go back to China for a job in China.
Oh, wow.
Strange.
So complicated.
What?
So complicated. Anyway, so complicated.
It is a weird reality that people, come on. Everybody in America is always like, well, they're taking our freedoms away. But like, Americans have no idea what that really is like.
No.
To really be censored by the government. We can say pretty much what we want. Let me just put it this way. I wish government would come and shut down this podcast. Please put me out of my misery. The dumb stuff I've said on here, I want the Biden administration come in here, send the FBI. They
Honestly,
won't do
Mike, we're not that far away. We might not be as far as you think.
Please. Oh yeah, that's very true. I don't know.
January.
Whoever that guy who's going to be head of the FBI, he's coming for me, and I think he's Asian too, so it'll be cool.
No, he's a brainwash Asian.
Yeah,
he's a
brainwash Asian.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let's not. Well, I mean, we'll get into it later.
Yeah.
But but my friends who are artists and stuff like that who live in Vietnam, I think a lot of them have come back. But there was a golden age around the time you went, like 2006 to 2009, where there was a lot of, the government was sort of like, hey, we're growing. We need to have all these different ideas. And, the artists could live there. It was very inexpensive to live in Vietnam. But they were like, yeah, at any moment, a guy, from the party could come by and be like, what's going on with this painting here? And like shut the whole thing down if you didn't like it. Or stand-up comics will do this hilarious thing. This is just so funny that the stand-up comics in Asia, they'll sometimes have to submit their entire act to like an officer of some kind to like read through, which is just like amazing.
Wow.
I mean, can you imagine any of my stand-up?
Wild.
I mean, I don't even say anything that weird, but just like some party official like having to read jokes about, I don't know, whatever, blowjobs. It's just like it's just gonna be so strange. So yeah, I mean,
would love
like,
if they provided
crazy.
punch-ups,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like this, but maybe you want to do an act out here.
Yeah, exactly.
Really try to sell it. Yeah. It's really big. It's really big with the general. So Yeah.
This
Okay.
will really hit
so
with
now
the commander.
Yeah.
So you became a U.S. citizen. You're here. Let's talk a little bit. I mean, like, how did you get into sort of like the dating world then?
Yeah.
From someone who was like a media person. Which, by the way, I'm starting to see like, hey, I think we might be best friends. You're dancers, media people. Seriously, I wanted to be not a TV host, but my friend in the Bay Area, he used to be a TV producer, like a field producer, and he was like, hey, for like a kind of a very small Bay Area channel, but it was like very hip, and like they would talk, to different musicians and stuff like that. And it was like, I was like, always thought that would be interesting too. Obviously, I just started doing media shit because nobody would hire me, so here I am. But like, I'm also, it's like we're kind of like thinking in the same wavelength as far as, like, is there something I can do where I feel I'm okay with putting myself out there? How can I turn that into something that I, can turn into a career,
Well, I think what you two doing is exactly what we all should be doing, is carving your own path. And I think because I was in entertainment for so long, going on auditions, waiting for people to book me, waiting for people to give me permission to be in their projects, I realized this is something that Asians have been doing for so long, waiting for permission.
Boom.
Right?
Bam.
It's like, I'm waiting for this person to pick me. I'm waiting for this company to pick me. I'm waiting for someone to recognize my worth, when you could be carving out your own path and showing the world, like putting yourself, you give yourself permission to put yourself out there instead of waiting for someone else to do it. And honestly, the entertainment industry is such a shit show right now.
I believe
it's not a good place to be if you're waiting for someone to take you on for their projects. We just got to create our own.
Right.
Yes. I'm into that. So you were an entertainer, kind of like in that space. How did you get into like the dating sphere?
Yeah. So the dating thing was my side hustle. Like, well, I'm making barely any money trying to be a TV host here. And I was at the Spring Lounge. Does that place still exist?
I don't think so.
I've never heard of it. What is it?
I don't know if it's a bar
down
in Bowery. Yeah, I don't know if it still exists. But I was waiting for some friends to show up, and they were running late. And this guy was at the bar, and he's like, I want to buy you a drink, but I'm not trying to hit on you. I actually just want someone to talk to. So,
what a great line. That's an amazing line. But
it might have been, see, in hindsight, I actually think he was being very sincere about that, because he was also waiting for friends.
Sure.
And he became my client number one, because for 30 minutes that we were both waiting for our friends, he talked to me kind of like about his dating past and how he wasn't over his ex-girlfriend and how that really stifled his love life. And he was like this hot shot on Wall Street, and he was like, I get the bro culture, but I'm just not really into the bro culture. I feel like I have to be a bro in order to fit in. So he became my client number one, because he's like, I really like talking to you, and I feel like you are a really good listener. And then I started consulting, basically coaching him. And then he kind of spread the word amongst his Wall Street friends. And I kind of built this database of men that I was coaching. And when I moved to Beijing, I actually ended up coaching a lot of expats in Beijing. And then kind of internationally too. So I've kind of seen the whole gamut of modern dating, back in the day. And I only coach men. So I kind of saw it from their point of view. But when I moved to San Francisco in 2015 after Beijing, and this is when Tinder really took off, right? When online dating apps really took off, and it changed the entire dating landscape. It was no longer traditional roles or traditional rules were applicable. People were looking for new ways of dating and navigating this modern culture. So everything I had taught my clients for all those years no longer applied. And I was so lost. San Francisco dating in general is very different. But then add the modern technology on top of it, I was like, what am I doing here?
Yeah. You don't have to say different. You can say a nightmare. You can just say a horrible nightmare. That's totally fine.
Yeah. I lived in San Francisco in 2015. That was my 20s.
Yeah.
And I can tell you for a fact it was a nightmare.
Sounds weird.
You know it. You lived it firsthand.
100%.
But in 2015, okay, so now we're entering 2025. The fact that, Jenny, I'm sorry, you're going to be like, God, you're a stalker. But the fact that 2015 was when app dating was all the rage. The fact that you found someone off the apps now, as we're entering 2025, just shows you how much modern dating is shifting.
Yes.
It really is. It really is. Because back then it was all about, everybody was still like, it's so easy to find a date. It's so easy to get yourself out there. Now everyone's like, how do I find someone not from the apps?
Exactly. It's like fully like circled around. I feel like the conversation has returned to meeting in real life.
How do you get your mom to hook you up with her friend's daughter from church? How do you get that going? Like that, just like she said, the
old school ways.
The old school way. Hey, she's a really nice girl. Okay. She went to Stanford. All right. She's a pharmacist. All right. Like that's what we need to do. We need to bring the aunties back into the game. I have a couple questions. So first of all, you're not really a dating coach now. It sounds like you're not really doing that.
No.
But why did you only coach men?
Yeah.
Because I try to take on a few female clients, and to be very transparent, women are very hard to coach. Very hard to coach. What I found with the men that came to me was that they were so open to feedback. Because I think for a man to admit that he needs some help in dating, he would actually be willing to hear what that is. Like, what is the advice? But for women, a lot of them came to me for validation.
Oh,
they came to me
interesting.
with quote unquote coaching, but they just, look at the balloons.
I love that.
People can't see it, but all of a sudden, from all these balloons just suddenly appeared on the Zoom screen.
Yeah, the Apple effect.
I don't know.
Maybe it's this thing. I don't know, whatever it is. But Zoom was into it. Zoom was like, yes, women need validation. Yes, girl. The AI. I turned on the AI before. I don't even know what it does, but I hit the switch to turn AI on. I think AI agrees with you that men need coaching and women need validation. Wow. Okay.
So if you think about it, it makes sense in your friend groups, right? I think like me and my girlfriends, we're not really looking for advice from each other. We're just looking for, oh my God, he sucks. Or,
right.
Yeah, this is like terrible. We are just looking for someone else to echo what we want to hear. And so the women that came to me, they weren't willing to hear the advice. A lot of times it was against what they wanted to hear. So it was really hard to coach. But men were much more open.
Interesting.
That's so interesting.
I thought it was just that men needed more help.
There's that.
Well, you're totally right there, because men don't have the same amount of support that women do. Right. And that could also be why the women weren't as open to coaching, because they're like, well, I can just get advice elsewhere. Like, why do I need it from you? But the men are like, you're my only hope. Yeah. You're the only person I'm telling this to.
Wow.
Yo, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like, there's something you said about like, if by the time a guy is like, I need help, he's gone through so much stuff and he's like, I really need to be open to having feedback. And he's gone through that hurdle of like, I know what I'm doing, and finally admitting that like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, Jenny, I was, your man, like, did he take any of the pants advice I gave him?
Oh, yeah. So afterwards, after the last podcast episode recording, we talked in depth about pants recommendations.
Yeah, for him. And I was like, I'm his pants coach. Okay. Yeah.
So he's a little too scared with your recommendations, but he has fully taken on my recommendations based off of your recommendations.
Okay. Fair enough.
You've inspired my recommendations, and they have been ordered during Black Friday sales. Okay. We'll be doing try-ons soon.
Oh, really? Please send me those things. I'm going to try to see if I can get into this the pants consulting space, because
I think men need it. I got dragged online for that, but I do think men needs coaching in every aspect, but especially pants.
So that is very fascinating what you're saying about the difference between like sort of men looking for advice or coaching versus how women are looking for those sorts of things. So you have this podcast, it's been going on for a while, and you also have this book, and you have this interesting sort of thesis in this book that we're in a what would you call it? You call it the love crisis. So like we have a lot of crises going on right now, political, social, disinformation. But what is a love crisis?
Yeah. I think anybody dating right now would agree that dating feels harder than ever.
Yeah.
And right? And it's very
not
frustrating.
that I know, but yeah.
It's draining, and also in a world where we feel so connected through technology, this is the most disconnected we've ever felt as humanity.
For sure. Damn.
And so the love crisis, what we're seeing is in the 10 years that we've been doing this podcast, we've seen two cohorts of people. There's the majority cohort of people have gone down. They've definitely fallen into bad dating behavior. They've fallen into the love crisis, which is like almost giving up on love, giving up on dating, kind of feeling hopeless. And then there's also this attitude towards dating that we call the lowest common denominator, where if someone else, like for example, if you're texting with someone and then they take 2 hours to text you back, then you take 4 hours to text them back, and then they take 2 days to text you back. Like we're trying to like one down each other. So then we come to the lowest common denominator of like the worst daters you could possibly be, because we think that's how dating works, right?
Yes.
So that's the majority of the cohort, and that's kind of the trajectory we're going into as a majority. But then we saw a small cohort of people kind of rising above modern dating, really loving dating, really connecting with people, finding great relationships, even if they don't last forever, who cares? But they felt much more optimistic. So we wanted to understand, what is the delta between the two? Why are this small cohort of people really understanding how to find joy in dating? And my co-host and I, Julie and I, were also part of the small cohort. We never felt like modern dating was terrible. I've gone through a few great relationships. She's currently in a great relationship. They've been together for 3.5 years. And we're like, what is the difference here? So that is what inspired us to write the book, because we feel like if we become part of the majority and have the love crisis take over, then we're going to give up on love. And I think love, at the core of love, is connection. And if we give up on love, we're giving up on connection. And that's very sad.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm glad I recorded all that, because that is going word for word into the script that we're writing. Okay? That was don't give up on love. Okay? Also, excellent use of the word delta.
Delta, I was about to say.
That's definitely going to hit hard for our audience.
Yeah,
we're a Delta audience.
3 Berkeley grads going, now we get it.
Yes.
Yeah, we're just going, the Delta, now I understand.
Yeah,
exactly.
Let's run a regression. Let's run that regression.
I was close to stopping your very well-worded speech to be like, Delta!
That's all we got from this Yue. You had this amazing, rousing speech about, love and rising above it all, and we're like, Delta!
Listen, I think you just named this episode Delta. I think it's going to hit so well.
The Delta, yeah.
Also, by the way, another thing, this is a small aside. I was also a sociology major. I don't understand how we didn't. We're
soulmates.
What the hell?
You both were sociology majors?
Yes.
No way.
This
is so wild. This is crazy. You're the same person, actually.
You're right. We're not soulmates. We're just the same person.
No, we're the same person.
We're twins.
Yeah, that's why we can never actually meet up, because I am in LA and you are here. It's crazy.
To go back to the dating thing, though, I have a question.
Back to the dating.
What do you think? What's driving the behavior where we're one downing each other? Because I do agree with that. That is a thing now. But what do you think is the thing that's causing us to act like this now in the dating space?
It's because we feel like in order to survive, because I think we're in like survival mode with dating. We're not in thriving mode. So we're like, in order to survive, you just got to give people the bare minimum.
I see.
And if they show you anything other than the bare minimum, like marry them. That's what it feels like. And this is something we call the settling paradox, because we've been taught for so long to not settle. Like settling is such a bad word, right? Don't settle. But the types of behavior we actually settle for in modern dating is terrible. We settle for the person who won't commit, right? And so you're like in a situationship forever. We settle for the person who said that they would call you back and they don't. We settle for plans that were made and then cancel last minute. Yet we sit back on our high horse and we go, but I don't want to settle. I deserve the best. I don't want to settle. Well, we're settling for a lot of that behavior, and we ourselves individually are responsible for that behavior. Every time we hear people complaining about ghosting, we ask back, well, have you ghosted? And of course. Yeah. Like everyone's ghosted. So we're like, okay, then why are we complaining about the same types of behavior that we are guilty of doing?
Yeah.
Gosh, wow. I mean, wow. Okay, so your book gets into this, and I want people need to go check it out. It comes out in January. It's How to Be Dateable. But like, one thing I was doing, I skimmed through your book, and I have this whole thing. I was fortunate, unfortunate, whatever you want to call it, to have missed all of online dating. Completely missed it. Don't have it. Seeing people go through it. I saw what you're saying, like there was this big frenzy in 2015, and now it's sort of where we are now, this horrible gray ooze of dating. And I sometimes think is all of this the result of like the dating apps, and all of this is the fault of technology, and by extension, and here we go, capitalism? Is it all because of that? Is it because there's so much where I think like there is no incentive really for, companies to have people really link up, and they don't really know how to do it. That's not really how humans work. And so I know that's a big question, but I don't know if you had any thoughts about how do we sort of deal with this? I think we can deal, you can try your best, read a great book and take some great advice, but what hope can we have when like there's so much kind of at work to make everybody separate, and to make everybody do the lowest common denominator, like you said?
That's such an awesome question. I'm so glad you asked that, because I think this applies to everything, not just dating. Is that the only solution that can give us hope is to know that we are in control.
Vote for Bernie Sanders. Oh, wait, sorry, what? It's the what?
And that.
Yeah, sorry, what was it? One more time.
That we are in control. So we got to take back the control. So to your point about dating apps and technology, here's my question back at you. Like, dating apps are the equivalent to a power drill. Would you complain that power drills were invented if you drill a hole in your wall and the hole's too big? Like, would you say that that's the power drill's fault, or would you say that's the person operating the drill's fault?
Interesting.
This is a kind of way to think about technology too. Technology is there to be a tool. It's the people using the technology that's abusing it, that's making us fall into this love crisis. So to get back the control is to say, okay, here's a tool. Dating apps, look at it as a tool for introducing you to people that you may not otherwise meet. That's a great way to think about, wow, great, it's expanding my network. How you use that tool is you need to know how much force and how much energy you want to put into this power drill. Same thing with dating apps. I know that when I was online dating, going through 10 profiles was enough. At that point, it's a point of diminishing returns. Do we like that word too?
Yes.
Oh yeah, we do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Bingo. Where's the balloons? Yeah.
Are we so turned on right now?
Yeah.
But at that
absolutely.
point, I know it's draining me, so I got to stop.
Yeah.
After that, then I become that person who's like, I hate online dating. There's nobody good out there, because I know I've drained my energy. I need to back off from that power drill.
Interesting. I feel that's a very apt analogy, because I do drill a lot of big holes into my walls as someone who doesn't know how to use a power drill. And it is like partially my own fault, and then I have to go and figure out what it is. But like, I also feel sometimes that, you know, I mean, you know, like, I don't know, I don't want to belabor the analogy, but it's like, it's almost like, you know, I wouldn't give my son a power drill, you know, because he will drill holes into the wall or hurt himself very badly. And then it's sort of like, is it his fault? Yes. Is it the power drill's fault? Probably. Is it definitely my fault? Yes. Where, you know, like, I feel, I wonder, like, you know, is that too much to put on someone, to be like, you need to do, it's like another thing a person has to do now on top of, like, you know, you have to be good at dating. I feel like dating's always been a skill, but now it's like an even, you know, now you're really like, you know, swimming upstream, so to speak, against all these other forces that, you know, what can one person do? You know, do you feel like that's a fair thing to ask someone to be able to do?
And I'm going to challenge that back and say, you don't need to be good at dating to be in a relationship. You don't.
Okay.
Yes, dating is a skill. Yes, there are ways to become an expert dater. What is that going to get you? Nothing. You're just going to get more matches, more dates. What's the point of that?
Yeah.
I hope that most of us, and I think this is why we wrote this book in this way, is that we have a whole chapter devoted to gaining clarity on why you date in the first place.
Yeah.
If you ask any dater out there right now, why do you date in the first place? It'll take them hours to figure out the answer, because the first answers that come to mind don't really make sense. Oh, because I don't want to be alone. Well, why is it you don't want to be alone? Oh, because I want to do life with someone. Okay, so why do you want to do life with someone? Oh, because it takes people a while to understand why they date in the first place. So if you can ground yourself in why you're dating in the first place, which I would go out on a limb and say most people are dating because they want to seek deeper connections with people, because that's powerful, that means something. Then if you do that, then you don't need to be good at dating. You're not like trying to win a pageant here. You know, most people date thinking, I have to be good at dating. I have to get like 1,000 matches and have like 10 dates lined up. I have to have all these people in my lineup. You don't. You just you're looking for a connection. So what is actually going to center people back to a great dating experience is authenticity. And Jenny, I'm not surprised you met your person when you did, or at least this relationship happened when it did. Because I think a lot happened to you in the last few years. Yeah. And I think when everything gets put into perspective, those layers are shed and you're like, this is who I am. Yeah. This is who I am at the core. And whoever is attracted to this authentic me is going to be the person, right? This is like going to be the right person for me. I don't need to perform for anybody. I don't need to put on any other layers, because shit, you've been stripped of all of that. Like, this is you.
Yeah, that's so real. And also because for me, the last couple years, because like so many big, generally horrible things have happened, it feels like dating before felt like I had to do the song and dance. And now I'm just like, when everything is put into perspective, you're like, well, I'm too tired, first of all, to do the song and dance. And it's just not worth it because life is short. And so go into it hoping for, just being fully myself and being pretty clear with what I want and what I'm looking for. And you're right. I do think there's a timing aspect to this. I've talked about this with him, that there's a timing aspect to this that worked out really well for those reasons as well. So you're right. Wow.
I do love that. I love that. I do like, amazing. I do like the message of, you got to know yourself and know, who you are and what you bring to the table, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's very powerful. And to your point, it is really difficult for people to be honest with what that is, or even to articulate it. Like, I think people, they wouldn't even know how to say some of the things they really want, because it's not like I think it's either people only think of it as like, I only want sex, or I only, I want to get married, or whatever. It's like these very specific things. And a lot of times it's things that exist in a gray area, and people don't know how to say what they really want, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, Oprah has famously said after decades of doing her talk show, what she's learned is that 99% of people do not know what they want.
Damn.
People do not know what makes them happy, and they do not know what they're looking for. So we have to get really clear about that. And I would also say that what is such a great time right now about modern dating is like people are frustrated and people are fed up. So this is a great time for change. This is a great time for us to shake up the culture of modern dating. We're like, this is not how we want to do it. I refuse to be part of this anymore.
Okay.
Now's everyone's time. Yeah.
Now's
Get
time,
out
baby.
there.
Let's do this. Let's do this. I mean, I think that's sort of last question for me anyway is for you, how are you? You've been a coach. You've had this podcast. Now you have a book. Are you ever tired of talking about dating? Or are you tired of doing this? It sounds like you've reached a sort of Zen state. But for you personally, are you how is that sort of treating you?
Oh, the Zen state. That's a perfect way to describe it. Because I used to be in this constant anxiety cycle with dating. It's like, does this person like me back? Are we going to progress? Where is this going? Now I feel very Zen about everything in my life. And I actually have this theory called the stargazing theory, where everything that is meant for you will appear if you're ready to see it. And so this is like what happens when we go stargazing. And I don't know where you go stargazing in New York. Probably you have to go like upstate somewhere. But when you go stargazing, everyone's so amazed because they're like, oh my God, there's so many stars in the sky. Well, the stars have always been there. It's not like they magically appeared. It's just that you've removed a lot of the light pollution from the cities that you live in to actually see them. I feel the same way about life. And I feel the same way about the people in your life. You are like, I think by a certain age, and I would say like mid-30s, you've already met everybody who is going to mean a lot to you, like who's going to really impact your life, who may also be a partner for you. But maybe for a while you just haven't been able to see them yet because you've been polluted mentally by other things going on. And so if you're willing to like kind of clear the skies in your mind, you might be able to see people in a different way. You might be able to see the stars in your life that you didn't know existed. And I felt that way about my last two partners, that not the same time, separate times. That would be amazing. I'm like, I see two stars.
Right.
But both of them had been in my life for almost 8 years. My 5-year relationship, he had been in my life for 8 years. And my current relationship, I've known him for almost 10 years.
Oh, wow.
I just didn't see them in that way.
Right.
Because I was not ready to see them in that way. I was still in that constant mode of chasing and, but being anxious and really like attracting drama and also playing victim, saying like, I'm just unlucky in love. I kept thinking that I'm just unlucky in love. But even in my 5-year relationship that ended last year in infidelity, I found evidence of him cheating while I was helping him move into my place because we were about to get married and have kids. So
what the hell?
Oh my God.
Yeah, damn, you're going to end the podcast like that?
Yeah, I can't believe we're ending the podcast.
Wait, what?
This is like the best cliffhanger because we have on our podcast, Dateable, we have a whole episode about how I caught him cheating. But then I was able to bring on the other woman on an episode. Called The Other Woman. That's the name of the episode.
Wow.
But even in something so traumatic that happened and where this very hopeful relationship had ended, I was so zen after that. Because I realized, and I hope this is a message we're leaving for everyone, is relationships are not the constant in your life.
Yeah.
You are the only constant in your life. And I actually think relationships appear in our lives to teach us, to expand us, to ground us. And then sometimes they leave and sometimes they could last for a long time. I no longer need to hold on to relationships to last forever. I just want to know what is the most I can learn from this relationship? What am I supposed to learn from this relationship? And what's the most I can expand in my heart in this relationship? So stop looking for relationships, looking for people to like you back, looking for people to understand that you're good for them. No, the right relationships will appear for you if you're ready to see them that way. And then you don't need to hold on to them.
Yeah.
You know, some things just don't need to be there forever.
Right. Relationships are not to validate.
Ask the person to come onto the podcast so you can make some fire content out of that. That is sick as hell. All right, you and I, we are the Delta. Just drop those. Drop buzzwords in there. That is fire as hell. Well, again, the book is called How to Be Dateable. Thank you again for joining us, Yue, and check out her podcast. It's called The Dateable Podcast. So, Yue, how can our fans find you and your work?
They can go to dateablepodcast.com, and my personal website where you were able to find all this great information is just my full name, yuexu.com.
Hell yeah, dude. And then always check out the podcast on Instagram at asiannotasianpod.com. You can find me on there at Nice Pants Bro.
And I'm at Jenny Arimoto.
And come check out our different shows if this episode comes out in time. Otherwise, we'll be around. America might not be, but we'll be here. Okay, we'll be here recording in the smoldering crater, which used to be America. And once again, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was very fascinating, and who knows where our paths will cross again, Yue.
I know. Yeah. I mean,
who knows?
It's gonna happen.
It's going to happen. It's going to be, we're probably, I don't know, like start a ranch somewhere. That's what I'm thinking. I've been thinking about starting a ranch recently, and maybe you have too. So it's going to happen. We're going to start this ranch.
I'm not as there as you are yet, but I could get on board. Yeah.
All right. Until then, everybody, thanks so much. We love you. Bye.
Bye.